All around me is the ice of the North Pole with a freezing temperature of minus 15 degrees Celsius, and I am going to dive even though I don't know how to swim. "90 degrees North Pole, the topmost part of our planet, which feels no less than an alien world. This is the Arctic's true North Pole. As you can see, it's a white desert, snow everywhere, completely surrounded by ice. It's a complete whiteout. Here, the normal rules of physics do not apply. The concept of time and time zones collapses here. The compass needle gets confused here. And the temperature? In winter, it drops to minus 40. The weather is extremely harsh, and my face has become so stiff that I can't even speak properly because my facial muscles have frozen. On the very land where a crew of 140 people had disappeared during exploration. But here's the twist. I'm going inside a massive beast that actually holds enough energy to power a city of 200,000 people. And I will spend a full 10 days inside it. Whoa! The whole ship is shaking. Behind this wall are the nuclear reactors. But wait, why is there smoke? The icebreaker is wobbling to one side, and honestly, it's scary. What if a rock just cracked? In the next 30 intense and thrilling minutes, I will show you how humans hacked science and conquered the North Pole. How a floating nuclear city cuts through 10 feet thick layers of ice like butter to reach 90 degrees North Pole. Out of every 16 million people, only one person manages to reach the North Pole. In this video, you'll see what just 0.00006% of people have ever seen. It will also completely change how you see human engineering. Nuclear reactors, giant engines, turbines, icebreaker life, and even what lies inside the secret rooms of nuclear ships, rooms where ordinary people are forbidden to enter. Murmansk City, Russia. It will be my boarding point.
Oh wow, my god. So guys, this is Murmansk in a nutshell. Just have a look at the view.
This town has a population of 280,000 people. If you look carefully, this bay basically never freezes. And even if the harsh winters arrive, the temperature here still never goes below zero. From here, you get an inlet towards the Arctic. Alright, from here, we pass through the middle of it and head towards the North Pole. But before boarding, a compulsory medical test. If you fail, all your dreams are shattered. It's not about fitness, it's about safety. Because you literally have to qualify just to be at this place. And just look at this beast. 50 years of victory, the nuclear icebreaker. Height, a 5-story building. Length, 1.5 football fields. And weight, equal to 50 Boeing 747 piled together. But here's the psycho thing. This giant is just a tiny, insignificant, microscopic bacteria compared to the vast expanse of the Arctic Ocean. 14 million square kilometers of frozen sea. That will be the greatest obstacle in our path. Around the North Pole, the Arctic Ocean is not water, but a frozen land of 10-foot thick ice, like solid concrete, and we must break through it to reach our goal. Yet the steel hull of a normal ship is only 15 to 20 millimeters thick, while Arctic ice can be 3,000 millimeters wide. Worse still, the moment you cross 0 degrees, ordinary steel becomes brittle like glass and cracks. Back in 1912, that's exactly how the Titanic sank. Just -2 degrees and a single collision, instead of denting, the steel cracked like glass, and the world's largest ship sank in only 2 hours and 40 minutes. And so, what did humans do? Well, we went full-on psycho mode and built something that actually fights back. Imagine, just a few centuries ago, the Arctic and Antarctic appeared on maps as blank, white, unexplored worlds. No trade routes, no scientific expeditions, and no one knew what mysterious treasures of nature lay hidden deep in the Arctic. And that's why Russia took the first initiative to build icebreakers. And the most powerful of them all in operation is this beast. 50 years of victory. But this may sound a little anti-common sense. Icebreakers, unlike normal ships, don't try to cut through the ice. Instead, the way they move, with the help of science, the ice breaks apart on its own. How exactly? Come, I'll show you inside the ship because it's time for the expedition's launch ceremony. Guys, these are all the kids who have won the competition. And look here, it's written Icebreaker of Knowledge. They've come from 22 different countries after winning this competition, and just look at their excitement. Everyone is so thrilled because the ship is about to leave in just 2 hours. 10 days, that's 240 hours. That's our time window in this span. We must touch the North Pole and return. The captain sounded the horn and we set sail. When the icebreaker set off, it felt like stepping into a floating city. Just imagine 25,000 tons of steel, 10 days, no internet, no phone signal. This is a complete digital detox because here the phone doesn't really work. You can use the phone, but no network. But the irony was that for the first time in my life, I felt completely free. Because for these 10 days, I'll be in the lap of nature plus a whole city is with me. 3 a.m. basketball, allowed.
And that's a goal.
4 a.m. roof access, allowed. 5 a.m. snacks, already serving. 24/7's living no limits, all amenities. Gym, sauna, gourmet restaurants, unique viewing decks, even a library. In the event hall, there's always something exciting going on. Experts from 22 countries, their stories, their perspectives blow your mind open. Just imagine chilling with someone who's actually been to outer space. Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Babkin. An average day at Icebreaker of Knowledge. So guys, come inside. This is our cabin and this is going to be our home for the next 10 days. So as you can see, it has a very homely feel. All of this is wooden furniture. Everything feels very homely. This is like an office table and here you can sit comfortably and work very peacefully. This is our bed number 1. Here you have everything you need and here's the TV to relax. So it's almost like a mini suite. And here is the bed and this is the bathtub. And this is going to be our room for the next 10 to 12 days. So let's see how it goes. There are so many happening things on my floor. This is the Victory Bar. It's a great place to relax, talk, chat, and plan things ahead. And the view here is absolutely amazing. Here's the library I mentioned earlier, and at the moment, the kids are actively engaged in a coding activity. This is for Roscosmos, which is Russia's space agency. But just look at the vibe. There are creative people all around, and the atmosphere is completely chilled. It was the 3rd day. Out of nowhere, a crash like an earthquake hit, like an earthquake. So guys, we were having dinner and suddenly the ship started shaking. And then an announcement was made. Look, even now you can feel it. Some massive glaciers have appeared and now we are going to see them. Whoa! The whole ship just shook. Just look at that. Just look at that. Just look at this, so many thick layers. It looks just like Pluto. Surreal, right? Watching those massive layers of ice slowly break apart before your eyes, it's a whole different experience. Our ship is about to collide with a massive glacier. As you can see, it's slowly climbing over this enormous ice block, splitting it into 2 parts and steadily carving its own path through the frozen terrain. This is a powerful nuclear icebreaker. This is what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. If it were any other ship, it would have surrendered long back. So, how does an icebreaker crush through ice so easily? What's the science behind it? Well, normal ships have a V-shaped bow to cut through water with the least resistance. But icebreakers, their bows are designed in a spoon shape. Look at this, a 30-degree angle which lets it literally climb over the sheets of ice like a skateboard, and by turning gravity into a weapon, it shatters them to pieces with its 25,000 tons of weight. Basically, its spoon-like design turns into a hammer, and physics wins over 10 feet of concrete like ice. Well, Arctic ice doesn't give second chances. That's why icebreakers don't have just one, but two hulls, two bodies. An outer hull made of 48mm reinforced steel, 3 times thicker than a normal ship. And then an inner hull, another 20 to 25mm thick. Between the two is a water-filled tank. So basically, even if a crash damages the outer body, nothing happens inside. And look, while climbing over the ice, do you see that fountain of water shooting out?
Wow!
Well, on giants like 50 Years of Victory, tiny holes are built into the base, where pressurized water is released so that friction between the ice sheets and its body can be minimized. So to increase speed and safety, we are literally moonwalking in the Arctic. Just take a look at this. This is the highest area where passengers are allowed to go. After this, there's just one deck left. Here you have the engine, here are your turbines in the center, and here is the nuclear reactor. So all three of these, the massive infrastructures, extend from the very top deck all the way down to the lower deck. And all the facilities and amenities are built around them. That's why it's called the heart of the icebreaker. Now come, let me take you to a place where regular visitors are not allowed to enter. Straight into this icebreaker's nuclear heart. The head engineer, the technical boss, guided us step by step inside. Everywhere in front of me, there was just one thing, a jungle of machines, and the temperature was quite hot. So guys, this is the central compartment, and behind this wall are the nuclear reactors. Obviously, we can't go there because the radiation levels would be very high. But this big pipe you see here contains steam inside, which will turn the turbines and generate energy. And this room is very hot, a very hot central compartment. So guys, from that same room, we moved a little ahead, just about 10 steps. Exactly beneath this point, 5 meters diagonally, are the nuclear reactors. So we are just standing in the floating nuclear city. And look at this, the $1 million iconic view. In this one single frame, you can see the entire heart of this ship, as if a giant's open heart surgery is going on. But don't get scared looking at so many machines. I'll explain to you in the simplest words how they all work together to run this massive beast. So first of all, don't forget this entire section is a nuclear power plant. Yes, right under my feet, 3 trillion atoms are splitting every second. The same nuclear fission reaction that happens in the world's 440 nuclear power plants. Just one difference. This one moves. An average nuclear plant covers 400 to 500 acres, that's over 250 football fields. But inside this icebreaker, the entire power station has been compressed into just half a football field. That's a 99.8% reduction, like fitting a massive building into a single suitcase. And still, this tiny core produces 171 megawatts of energy, 1/6 of a full-sized plant. A pure miracle of engineering. But after all, how is this possible? Look, an average nuclear power plant has 10 to 15 buildings, but actually only 3 are fundamentally important. The nuclear reactor building, the turbine generator building for producing electricity, and a cooling tower. The rest are for extras like admin and waste management. But in icebreakers, you don't even need the third unit, because its cooling tower is literally the Arctic's icy water. If you've seen typical power plants, they usually have 3 buildings. But here, all 3 structures have been brought together into a single compartment on the same plane. That's why it feels like a floating window. One more hack makes it 10 times smaller. City reactors use 3 to 5% enriched uranium. But icebreakers use 20 to 50% enriched uranium, which packs far more power into a small core. It raises just one big danger regarding a reactor meltdown. I'll tell you why. Look closely at the ship's smart design, how these 3 important machines are aligned step by step, almost on the same plane. So this is a detailed engineering diagram of the ship's interior. This part here is the main reactor. These are the powerful turbines. And here you can see the 3 massive engines. All of them are placed on the same unified plane for more efficient energy production. It's not coincidence, it's brilliance. Everything's interconnected. The story begins with the main character, the nuclear reactor. Let's zoom in and see what's happening inside. At the center of a nuclear reactor is its core, where thin rods of 20 to 50% enriched uranium-235 sit alongside uranium-238. Uranium-235 is instant release energy, and uranium-238 as slow release. In the reactor core, these 2 fuel rods are surrounded by a medium. Understand carefully, this medium itself will save our lives. The thing that will save us is pressurized water. Some neutrons are then slowly shot into the core at controlled rates, which together make the uranium atoms unstable and trigger the nuclear fission reaction. Nuclear fission, think of it like you strike the marbles on a carom board and watch all the pieces scatter with explosive, chaotic force. In the same way, uranium, which is a heavy atom, literally breaks apart into smaller particles, releasing enormous amounts of energy. And in its nucleus was binding energy, the strong nuclear force holding its structure together, which gets released. This is our nuclear energy, which Einstein expressed in the simple equation E equals mc square. Mass is nothing but stored energy. Each fission reaction gives off 2-3 extra neutrons and nearly about 200 million electron volts energy. Can you imagine how huge that is? The energy you get from burning just one coal atom is 50 million times more than a single fission reaction. And picture this inside a reactor. 3 trillion reactions happen every second, which produce enough energy to power an entire city like Srinagar or Allahabad every single day. And the denser the core, the higher the risk of a reactor meltdown. So how do we actually contain and control this chain reaction? There are 500 kilograms of uranium and the neutrons keep multiplying. Well, because carefully controlling the release of neutrons is the most key and critical operation of a reactor. For that, control rods are there, made of neutron-absorbing materials like boron or hafnium. These rods, when the need comes, deploy in a half second. Plus, this high pressurized water also slows the neutrons down, and the overall reactor structure is such that slow energy releasing U-238 and fast 235 are sandwiched together. There are many such mechanisms which control the speed of neutrons, and in reactors, they give us reaction time to keep the operation controlled. Then where does all this energy, enough to power an entire city, actually go? Well, see the beauty. With the help of science, we make this energy dance on our commands. Remember, this water is pressurized. That's why even at 300 degrees, it stays in liquid state. Now this same pressurized water, its full 300-degree heat energy, puts into superheating another loop of water, from which steam will form. And this same steam, you can see through these pipes, goes to our story's second character, the turbine generators. Here, the super hot steam with its energy moves the turbine blades, which activates the generators connected to them, and massive amounts of electricity are produced. So right now, the 2 big black objects you see here are the main turbines of the entire power generation system. Steam is coming in here, and there are many large interconnected pipes carrying the high-pressure steam, which is powering the massive rotating turbines. And these massive turbines are producing energy for the main engines of the ship, which are on the left side, as you can see. So now, where is this electricity used? By our third main character, in powering its 3 big electric motors, or you can say engines, which actually give the needed thrust to the icebreaker's giant propellers, and the icebreaker moves forward, crushing the ice. In this room, the noise was so much that here, without earmuffs, you cannot work for long. Extreme noise, like a rock concert, is going on. And just one of its motors has the power of 25,000 horsepower, equal to more than 40 Ferraris. Now one more thing, see this structure, how 4 times the energy beautifully converts, and the thermal gradient naturally goes hot to cold. No pumps needed at all. Gravity and thermodynamics doing their work to skyrocket the efficiency. Now you have seen the heart of the ship, Now let's see the brain of the ship. The captain's bridge, from where the whole icebreaker is controlled. So guys, right now we are in the sealer's cockpit, and just look at how wide this room is. Unbelievable. 25-meter wide cockpit, 360 degrees panoramic glass view, like the control room of a spaceship. So these three things you see, these are the engines. There are 3 engines. 2 engines are for thrust and 1 engine is for navigation. So now we move on to the second machine that is right here. This machine looks like an analog, and it basically controls the lights above. That big beam of light up there. This goes to the North Pole, and when it goes there during winters, it's completely dark. So at that time, this beam light comes in very handy. So here we have all the communication equipment. You can literally see telephones and other important devices here. You will be shocked to hear, just to run this icebreaker, 200 staff members are needed, including engineers, navigation and hospitality staff, and tourists only around 120. Just think, more staff than tourists. Running an icebreaker seems like running a massive orchestra, everything in the same rhythm. But paradoxically, when you go into the captain's bridge, the atmosphere there feels completely chilled. The weird thing is that we were given free access, that we could visit here whenever we wanted. I mean, here you can see I'm openly roaming in the deck. What if I accidentally pull some random lever? Well, nothing will happen. Because in this room, there are 3 propulsion control bays. 1 right side, 1 center and 1 left. And this ship was mostly operated from left side and rest was on auto mode. The main operation is run from there. And the engine there is currently keeping the main engine controller fully active and operational, while everything else is on autopilot. So why was the same system given 3 times? Well, redundancy, which is in every system. Bay 1 fails, Bay 2 takes over. Bay 2 fails, Bay 3. Bay 3 fails, then... Well, this ship can literally be taken over from the head engineer's cabin. See this? This is the engine control of one control bay. If the propulsion system gives thrust, then navigation is like the eyes, which tell the direction for which there are compasses. But there is one big problem. Near the North Pole, the magnetic compass behaves like this, because of which many travelers in the past have gotten lost. How will you navigate when physics itself is confused? That's why in this icebreaker, not 1, but 3 powerful compasses are there. Along with the magnetic compass, there is a gyro compass and a satellite compass. This is your magnetic compass. At the North Pole, the magnetic poles keep fluctuating, and the magnetic compass also fluctuates, so it doesn't show the direction properly. But this is the jar compass, a precise geographical compass. It's basically a display connected to the actual jar compass inside the ship, so the sealers can see that we're heading in the right direction. Many people make the mistake of thinking Earth's magnetic North Pole and geographical North Pole are the same, but both are different. The magnetic compass takes you towards the magnetic North Pole, which keeps shifting, and right now is somewhere here. But the gyro compass shows the direction of Earth's actual geographical North Pole. That's why it is much more reliable, and the satellite compass even more reliable. But what if, on the way, like in the case of Titanic, a huge mountain of ice comes? For that, these radar integrated compasses are there. As you can see here, all these yellow dots are ice. The more the density, the thicker the ice concentration. And this icebreaker tries to steer clear of such ice whenever possible. So earlier we were up there, watching from that point. And now we've finally come down here. Over there you can see the radars and all the other equipment through which, using radio frequencies, we are able to navigate and see which direction we need to go. So guys, it's 3:30 in the morning and we've almost finally reached the majestic North Pole, 89.59, as you can see right there. We're just maneuvering now to get exactly to 90 degrees. So guys, we finally reached exactly 90 degrees, and this is what the North Pole truly looks like from the top of a ship. It's exactly 3:10 in the morning, and just look at this view. Absolutely surreal. Bro, I'm scared. What if some rock just cracked?
Exactly. I won't even be able to run away.
Guys, we are at the North Pole.
Welcome on the North Pole. Ah, hooray!
This is the Arctic's true North Pole. As you can see, it's a white desert, snow everywhere, completely surrounded by ice. There's a lot of confusion about the Arctic. Some people actually think it's all made of water, while others believe it's solid land. But in reality, it's all frozen ocean water. So basically, it's actually the ocean, but it's so extremely cold here that the water has completely frozen, right? So as you can see, let me give you a quick little tour of what you would truly experience if you were standing right here. As you can see, the anchor of this massive and powerful icebreaker ship must easily weigh several tons. This anchor is so massive.
This is the North Pole ice ball.
I want to feel this.
It's kind of a solid crystal.
Oh my God.
I just had a sudden realization. I'm standing at the North Pole, but everywhere I look around me, in every direction, it's all south. Crazy paradox, right? This is the topmost northern point of the entire Earth, and below this, it's all south. And yes, here at the North Pole, it has started snowing. It keeps snowing here 24 hours a day, and that's why it looks like this. This is actually the first time in my life that I've seen snowfall while it's happening.
My face feels a bit burned and numb.
The winds here were so strong that for the first 2 hours, my facial muscles literally froze, and I couldn't even speak.
The cold here is around -10, -12 degrees, and it's going to get even colder in a while. So the weather is extremely harsh. I'm wearing 3 layers. This is the first layer, this is the second, and this is the third.
Since this place has seen so few people, I realized that it's not us exploring the North Pole, it's the North Pole exploring us. I mean, this is a desolate, deserted area, and polar bears can smell us from 16 kilometers away. Don't mistake these 600-kilogram blubber-filled beast for being cute. They see us as the perfect meal. Guys, let me show you something interesting. Behind me, you can see guards standing. They were positioned at every corner to make sure no polar bears come in, because this area is very notorious for polar bears. We held a small ceremony, congratulated each other, took photos at the 90-degree North Pole point, or this white land. We're not allowed to go there because obviously an extremely dangerous crevasse. A crevasse means if you step on it, you could go straight down, right? So it could be potentially very dangerous. There are crevasses all around this place. Look over there, there's even some open water. This isn't land at all. It's a 10-foot thick sheet of ice floating on water, and beneath it lies the Arctic Ocean, 4 kilometers deep. Imagine below nothing but darkness and depth. And this is where I'm going to dive despite not knowing how to swim. The moment I came face to face with the Arctic Ocean, the darkness of its depths made me nervous. Of course, I don't know how to swim. And to make it worse, just a while ago, people had spotted a walrus right there. A walrus is basically a giant sea elephant. And with so many people watching me from above, if I end up drowning and have to be pulled out with a rope, the embarrassment will be on Ultra Pro Max level. The whole ship will get endless gossip material, just like what's already happened to a few others. I had just 10 seconds to decide. to jump, or to give up. And in that very moment, I made up my mind. No matter what happens, I'm doing this. And I leapt. The moment I dived in, it suddenly felt like 1,000 tiny needles were piercing my body all at once. My heartbeat shot up instantly, racing uncontrollably, and I almost went into panic mode, which is why I desperately started flailing my arms. And then, as soon as I came out, the freezing water and the shock gave me a terrible shoulder cramp, a pain that would last for weeks. The water felt bearable to me for a moment, but once you come out, the cold hits so hard it's literally unbearable, at least in my opinion. But after this experience, I was literally on cloud 9. For me, it almost became like a spiritual awakening, something that completely opened up my mind and perspective. It made me realize on a much deeper level that we should take calculated risks, because real mental growth always lies outside the so-called safe zone. I've started expecting much more from myself because I know that I can always grow more and truly be more. By not fearing big challenges and facing them directly head-on, even if you fail, your courage will grow tenfold. For me, this was about breaking past my instincts and pushing against the limits of physics and biology. And this is exactly what it means to be a psycho. And we trust science and do crazy things. After the polar dive that night on the icebreaker, I suddenly felt really warm, almost as if my body was adapting to this new region. Which was strange because we were at the North Pole just a few hours earlier. I could barely talk, and now I was sweating. This is the body's natural adaptive response. Brown fat activation, a spike in metabolism to regulate core temperature, a perfect example of homeostasis. That very night on our way back, look at what we saw. The majestic beast of the Arctic, the polar bear, a true masterpiece of evolution. The strange thing is, what nature took millions of long years to perfect for survival here, humans managed to achieve in just 160 years using science. Now, that's the power of science and a psycho mindset. Our instincts limit us, but science sets us free. I was just an ordinary creator showing the world through a screen. And I truly felt that having the mindset to use science in your life can actually take you to the